I think she went to like 200 or 300,000 monthly listeners from nothing. Never pay for a service that guarantees you streams and placements. Spotify knows it's like artificial streams and they won't be paying royalties to you for that, and they will be penalizing you. There are no sex playlists on Spotify. It's not about finding objectivity, because sometimes you were saying about expectations, but some artists are telling us, I expect objective feedback. It's like, it doesn't exist. It's music.
Yeah. Every artist on planet Earth is trying to crack the code of how to get on playlists. But if you've ever tried to search for contact info of some of these independent playlists on streaming platforms, you really can't find it. That's where Groover comes in. On today's episode, we sit down with the co-founder of Groover, Dorian Perrone, and talk about all things playlisting. We talk about maximizing your chances of how to land your music on these playlists, the type of expectations you should have before you spend any money on a playlisting campaign, and what role playlisting should play in your overarching music promotion strategy. But the real question we asked him that we know all you guys are wanting to know is, what do you say when people claim this whole playlisting industry is a freaking scam? We talked about that and more on today's episode. Let's get into it. This conversation that we want to have is really important for our community. I would say one of the number one questions that we get asked is definitely around playlisting. How do I get on playlists? What are curators looking for? How does it work? Are platforms like Groover, Submit Hub, etc., like, what kind of value can they bring to me as an artist, right? Like, these are common things that we hear from our community. So appreciate you coming on the podcast to, talk about some of these topics that I think, Groover's a part of this overarching like ecosystem, right? So in your mind, where does like playlisting fit into the music promotion ecosystem as a whole?
Yeah, it's a good question for sure, and it's interesting to say that like with Groover, when we started, we didn't address at all the playlisting topic. The idea was mainly to be able to connect artists with music curators, tastemakers. In the beginning, it was mostly blogs. In 2018, a bit like online radio stations. We also connecting artists with like record labels, managers, publishers. So it's a bit larger than that. But then what we saw happening is the rise of the weight of playlists as a way to make your music discovered. And so, of course, we went in that direction as well. And like, Groover is not only a playlisting platform at all, but it's a big part of the community that we have of creators that you can get in touch with. And playlisting is important because it's a way to directly generate new listenings, to find new people that are going to discover your music, to grow your audience, and it's possibly available to everyone, which is nice. And it can also be something you build up a presence of a playlist quite quickly, and often more quickly than what would you do on social media. But it's important to understand that it's not the only thing, that you can't focus only on playlisting, and you'll need to do a lot of other things, and we're probably gonna talk about that. It's also, playlisting can be really good for certain types of music, for certain types of artists, but sometimes it won't work as well for other types of music. In fact, like hip hop or rap, it's much more direct, like on a direct audience thing. Like, artists are connecting directly with their audience, and you see that like their streams are not coming too much from playlists. But if you look on the contrary at for example, like lo-fi beats music or ambient music or even like indie folk music, you can see that a lot of the audience is going through playlists to discover new music. So it really depends on like there's a lot of different like the weight of playlists is different depending on the music you're doing and producing.
Interesting. Yeah, it's wild because like my Spotify Wrapped, I'm pretty sure last year, if not last year, definitely will be this year, is like all chill acoustic instrumentals, because like I'm just searching up on Spotify chill acoustic instrumentals, because I find it very easy to work to that music. Whereas like hip hop, which is something that I listen to majority when I'm like actively listening and like seeking out music, that's more for me, to kind of like choose my own song, choose my own artist, etc. I don't rely, to your point, on playlisting as much, but I don't know who the chill acoustic artists are out there, right? So like for me, it's very easy to kind of use playlisting for that. Do you think that like how much active listening versus passive listening is happening on playlists, would you say?
It also depends on the kind of music. I think that for like what you were saying, like chill and acoustic and ambient, it can be very passive, but it could also be some, the listeners could be listening a lot to the tracks, because if they're listening to the playlist in a row and always going to the same playlist to work, as you were saying, or for their routine, it could be, it's the same also with music for like gym and workout. It's like, it's a big thing. There are also like playlists for like erotic or sex moments is something, it's a big thing.
Oh, really?
Spotify. Yeah, totally. And it's
Henry,
funny.
should we?
No, we shouldn't.
It's a funny. No, it's actually a funny part, because there are no sex playlists on Spotify. There are no editorial ones. There are only independent ones. So some of the independent playlists that are the biggest worldwide are the ones related to sex and erotic things, because Spotify doesn't have editorial playlists for that. And you see, it's very funny. Like if you have a track that gets into like one of the biggest ones it's usually like R&B, kind of like this kind of vibe, like very smooth and everything. You'll see your audience is going to be like, you have peaks on the weekends. It's very funny. Honestly, it's crazy. Like, you know what's happening. You know when people are like putting this playlist.
Yeah. So I'm going to send my wife one of these playlists. And be like, it's market research, honey. It's work.
Yeah, we're researching right now.
Yeah. This is for work. No, that's really interesting. Wow, I didn't even know that those types of playlists existed.
Because we're Americans and it's so taboo for us for some reason.
Yeah, I guess.
Really understand it.
And it's interesting what you were saying about like passive and active listening is like, I think the Discovery playlist, like Discover Weekly or Discovery Radar, these algorithmic playlists are much more active listening, because people going to these places are actually actively searching for new music. But it's interesting to see that globally on streaming platforms now, you have like hundreds of millions of subscribers, billions of people listening to music on streaming apps. And the big majority now are not like active listeners. They are more like looking for a vibe, or they're looking for music, but they're not looking for, I want to dig new music, new tracks. It's a small portion of the people that are on these platforms. In the beginning, like the first subscribers to Spotify were mainly people who were active listeners, but now it's not the case. So the listening that happens on streaming platforms is in majority passive.
I think artists need to just accept that as reality too. I think in my mind, a lot of, and I'd be interested to get your take. Like a lot of what we talk about artists, with is like expectations, right? And I think just having the correct expectations when it comes to like how people are consuming music. Like we just interviewed the co-founder of Audiomack. We just had him on the podcast, and he talked a lot about like listener behavior, because he obviously runs a DSP. So he has so much data on like how people are listening to music, right? And how it works. And like just, the data points he was sharing with us were pretty eye-opening. What would you say, the expectations are? Like if I'm an artist and I want to go enter into a playlisting campaign, what would be your like, cautionary like advice, or like how would you set my expectations realistically before I enter into this campaign?
What you can expect from a playlisting campaign is you can expect, if you spend time to target the right playlists, and if your track has a format that can correspond to playlists, which is not something that is very like typical, but there are some tracks where you listen to them, it's going to be complicated to be featured in a playlist, and we can talk like further about that like later on. But the expectations would be that your track is going to get added to some of these playlists. Then what you can expect in terms of the number of streams you get depends on the playlist, of course, but I wouldn't be expecting thousands of streams coming from each playlist you get into. I would be mostly like trying to expect, okay, I'm getting added to a playlist. I hope it's a place that will really like my track and keep it for a long time, at least a month, or obviously hoping for more, and possibly bringing a few dozen streams a day, or like even like 20, 30, 50 streams a week. If it stays for a long time, it can really build up, knowing that then you can get added to a lot of playlists. The other thing is I wouldn't expect from like one playlist placement on like an independent playlist to bring something very significant, I would really try to build up and try to get added to more and more playlists, because you never know which ones are gonna really make your track grow. And at the same time, building up with multiple playlists like this, it's feeding very positively the algorithms on Spotify for your presence then on algorithmic playlists. So I would like expect not having like one place be crazy impact, but trying to build up, getting added to a lot of plays that make sense, which editorial makes sense, which artists that are featured in make sense also in terms of cluster of artists. Try to get added to a lot of them to build up that kind of snowball of your visibility and your audience there.
What about
that's what I would be expecting.
What about acceptance rate? If I apply to 100 playlists, what can I maybe expect? How many can I expect to get on?
If you use Groover, you can expect the average is between 20 and 25% acceptance rate, but it's an average, and it's very like it varies a lot depending on the quality of your music, of course, but also how you've targeted and the type of music you're doing, but especially how you've targeted and the quality of your music. We have artists that are submitting and getting added to all the playlists they're submitted to because they really targeted well, and the track is amazing, and it's very like it's corresponding perfectly to what these playlist creators are looking for. With tracks sometimes that are very hybrid and with like a format that can be a bit complicated, even if it's very high quality, you can have like acceptance rates that would be lower even when the playlist creators actually like the track, because they would be, it doesn't correspond to their editorial. So it's one of the thing here. But when you're submitting yourself outside of Groover to playlists that you can get in touch with on Facebook or Instagram, it's really low acceptance rate, low answer rate. But still, I would recommend artists to do that research of what are the cool playlists that could be great for them. Try to position that, because even if you build like 1, 2, or 3 cool relationships with great playlisters outside of any other platform, you can be someone that supports your music for all your next releases as well.
So, we did a little research, of course, before this, and, even in our own conversations with artists, these playlisting companies, right? Like playlist submission companies, whether it's Submit Hub, Playlist Push, Groover, there are, of course, some negative sentiments that pop up from time to time online. And I do think from my own perspective, it maybe has to do a lot with exactly what we were just talking about from the expectation side of the house.
And also not properly pitching or doing the research to pick the right playlist potentially.
All the things, right? But I think, so one commenter, once again, like deep in the interwebs, playlist submission platforms range from better than nothing to waste of money to outright scam. So just like a comment like that, I want to give you the opportunity to just like address like how you feel generally speaking about the playlist company like ecosystem, right? Because I know you guys are a industry leader in the space. Mm-hmm. So just even speaking on behalf of other, companies, right? Like that are doing it, the right way. How do you respond to that type? Because I'm sure you get this all the time in your comment section, in the Reddits, in the YouTube comments, wherever, right? It's
very emotional. Like Groover or this submission platform are very emotional products. And the reason for that is what you were saying. It's because we're trying to do it the right way, which is not guaranteeing a spot, because you have a lot of services that you can find online that are doing a lot of ads, and you can find as an artist as like, we're going to give you 15,000 streams, which is in the end what a lot of artists want. It's like getting more streams from the services and from what they pay and what they invest in. The problem with these services is that every time you'll see a service that guarantees you streams, that guarantees you a number of streams, guarantees you placements, all the time it's going to be a scam, because it means that in the background they're running something that is not going the way Spotify wants in terms of guidelines and everything, and they're getting flagged. And the problem right now with the system is that these services, when they run, either it's like bot farms or like bot playlists or fake playlisting strategies to try to bring your streams at a specific moment. They will bring you the streams. You will think the streams are working, but in the background, Spotify knows it's like artificial streams, and they won't be paying royalties to you for that, and they will be penalizing you for what's happening there. There are a lot of scam companies like that. Like one of the biggest one is Waver.ai. They created a lot of different names names. Then there's Envua and there's Chartmob. It's always the same company that are creating like this whole names. And what they do is usually they add a track, random tracks to their playlist for one day. So the artist sees that and is like, what is that playlist that added me for a day and brought me like 3,000 fake streams, but you don't know at the time. And then the artist would reach out and try to pay for a package to get more. It's their whole like system is like that.
Whoa, that's kind of that's low key genius.
I was working
best scam I've ever heard.
I was working with an artist the other day. He pulled up his Spotify for artists for me, and he was like, "I got this crazy spike this one day, really randomly. I got added to some playlist, and now I think I probably know why."
Totally what happened.
Exactly that. No, it happens to a lot of artists. And what happens next is that if you don't like, you're not able like to match this, and sometimes like Spotify will penalize you for this, which is really bad. And also like it's crazy that like Spotify isn't able to like identify this beforehand, but then when you report the playlist and everything, they take them down. But there's a whole like scam around that's happening that is very, very disturbing. But just to go back to this, it's the reason why these scams work. Don't work for the artists, but work in terms of the people running the scams.
Yeah, they're able to happen.
It's because of the expectations, because the artist want the streams in the end. They want to be placed. So the inherent problem with platforms like Submit Hub or Groover or Playlist Push is that we present that we're going to guarantee that the creators are going to answer and give a reply, not that they're going to place, but what the artists want is to be placed. So they're paying for something with an expectation that is not exactly what we can promise.
Yeah.
And we know that from the start. And that's why we're trying to be super vocal and explain that and everything. But still, there's the possibility that you're going to be placed. But the thing about expectation is very important about like what you were saying about how emotional it is.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's very depressing for us at Groover because we're seeing like there was one Reddit post. I think it's called like The Truth About Groover and something.
That's the one. That's actually the one where the comment came from.
It's terrible. It's terrible. And the guy who's commenting, I made like a big comment.
I read your reply.
So Henry was like,
I read your reply.
Team Dorian after it. I'm just gonna go ahead and
and I was like, and I thought about that because it's like I checked his whole campaign, and it's like it's true. He got like some approvals, some rejections.
He was above average approvals.
It was above average, and also he got placed on some very big ones. Mm-hmm. And when you were looking at his like Spotify profile, all the top playlists in his discovered on sections were coming from Groover.
Yeah, that's the best part.
So
that has to hurt, man, as a fucking founder to be like, this was supposed to be like a win for us. Like you just crushed it, dude. Yeah. And he's here tearing you to pieces. Like
no, it was that, and it's also because like sometimes like one bad reply, one bad comment by a creator will ruin the experience for the artist.
Oh, dude,
which is crazy.
But that's how it is in general, man. Like just go to a fucking artist's social media. They'll point out, and like we're even victim of this sometimes, like in our own brains.
100 good comments
and the one bad fucking one. Like you suck, quit music today. That one comment will just ruin your whole mindset, dude.
And apparently, like I saw some studies about that, and it really resonated. Is that because of how we done as humans, human beings, biologically. It's like we wired to look for danger. So I was like, I was thinking, I don't know which rapper it was. I think it was a famous like French rapper. He was on a TV show, and he was saying that he was receiving a lot of like very good and tweets from fan and everything. And he was like, if I get like one bad tweet during the day, it's gonna kill my day, the whole day. And I was like, man, you're successful. You have like awards and everything. Everything's going fine for you, and you're gonna get like one bad comment, and it's gonna kill your day. So that's part of the thing here. It's like, I know, like there's no other way, because we tried removing the feedback. We tried removing it and have only like people accept or decline and everything. What happened is that the acceptance rate decreased in a phenomenal way, because like the fact that we're asking the creators to give feedback forces them to really consider the track and consider whether they want to share it or not and go forward or not with the track. When they don't have to give feedback, they don't engage the same way with the track. And so they rejected in a lot of cases. It was crazy numbers. It was like people were declining tracks 4 times more when they didn't have to give feedback and write a reply.
Because it's just one click. Just one click.
It's
boom.
just one click. It's just one click, and you don't feel like you're talking and interacting with someone. So you don't feel that you can have impact on the person on the other side. So it's a lot about that. So even when you like the track, like, oh, it's easier for me to reject it. But when you engage with it, it's a bit different, and that's why we kept the feedback. It's because it's better for the artists in the end if you're looking at the output, which is how am I going to get some shares. But at the same time, it's creating a lot of frustration. And it's totally understandable, and it's hard on a daily basis. But like, I made a bit of peace with it. We keep on improving the system to make sure, like, the ones that are not writing good feedback, we really help educate them, or we ban them from the platform. We're very harsh with the creators. Like, it's one of the things that we, like, artists wouldn't see, but sometimes with some creators, we're so pissed at what they're doing. We're like talking shit to them. Like, it's like, we're hard with them. But still, like, in the end, it will depend on the expectations and also how you feel about, like, getting feedback and everything. But and to end up on that, it's funny also to see that when we started out with Groover, people were more amazed by the system because it didn't exist before. And they were like, wow, I can get that many replies, and some are going to place my music. I'm going to get my track playing on the radio and everything. And they were, like, amazed about it. But now that it's getting, like, a common thing, it's like people are much more, like, criticizing the whole thing, and they're right. And most of the time that there are a lot of things and a lot of flaws that we need to improve on, but improve and fix. And we're working very hard on it. But at the same time, it all comes to, as you were saying, like, expectations.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a gamble, you know? I mean, you're kind of gambling a little bit. I don't know if a lot of people are used to that. And we're talking about artists and their art, which are, I mean, these are sensitive people.
Well, yeah. And I mean, let me just get your take on this, right? Because I think this is also, once again, in the whole light of trying to set expectations properly. So if I'm going to spend, let's say, $300 on a campaign, right? Just, better than anyone, probably, the data points around that. Is it safe to say that I will not make $300 back in streaming royalties? Is that a fair statement?
I think in the majority of cases, it will be in a direct way, totally. Like, you're not going to make, like, this return
exactly
in a direct way.
And that's all So if that's, having said that, how should artists be looking at this financially? Because that's what I think it is, right? If I'm going to spend $300, I need to know I'm not going to make it back in my fucking distributor, my distribution.
Immediately,
like my streaming
points.
royalties.
Right.
That's not going to happen. So how should I be looking at it?
It's very interesting what you're saying, because it's exactly that. It's a lot about expectations. We have a lot of artists that are using the platform, and they're making this crazy calculation about, oh, it costs me this, and even if I get this number of streams, I'm going to get that number of royalties. But it's more like the direct impact of it that they're measuring. But it's not about that. If you're going for that, if you're using playlisting platform, and if you're using submission platform because you expect to make your direct revenue from the promotion campaigns, you shouldn't do it.
Doing it wrong. Yeah,
you're doing it wrong. Like, honestly, it's not the goal. It can have honestly some impact, but it's more about, like, the indirect impact it will have. There are many ones. The first one is, like, if you get placed to the good, like, independent playlists, and at the same time you're good on social media, maybe you're running ads, and you're going over some certain thresholds of streams, thanks in part to playlists, it can contribute to, like, 20% or 15%, 25, 30% of your number of streams. And you're going over a certain threshold of streams. Like Andrew Southworth said, it was around, like, 10,000. He did a study. It can change but it can trigger the Spotify popularity index will trigger the Discover Weekly, your placement in Discover Weekly in the algorithmic playlist, if you go over a certain threshold of streams in the first 28 days. And if you do this the right way, and you go over that barrier, that threshold, and playlist is a very good source of streams for that because it's organic streams, then you're gonna get placed better in algorithmic playlists, and indirectly you're gonna get more streams from this source. This is one of the most direct thing that we see when people are trying to get placed on independent playlists. But another thing, if you look at the big picture, so I'm started DJing. A lot of producers that are DJing, they were telling me it's important to have a certain number of monthly listeners on my profile when I'm trying to get booked somewhere. there are direct things like that. It's like you're working, you're very good DJ, and you started producing, but you only have a few hundred monthly listeners on your profile. Some clubs are going to look at that and are going to say, I'm not sure this person can bring a crowd. Maybe you can, but they use the data point of your number of streams, and the monthly listeners I would say, like, Instagram followers and monthly listeners, and a combination of the two is one of the things that can help you go the forward the most when getting gigs.
I think labels too. Look at that for artists when they're trying to sign artists. The same thing.
Totally. Because
it's sad,
the thing is, yeah, it's sad, but the reason for that is because when labels are looking at that, they're looking, and festivals or clubs, it's the same thing. They're trying to de-risk the investment. So they're trying to say, if I book that person or if I sign that artist, it's gonna be a sound investment. And the reason for that is that I'm seeing that artist is already generating things organically. So if I help them on their like release, if I book them, it's gonna bring more people, and because they're already having a crowd, already having a fan base, and the way to show that is through these numbers. So if you're looking at this with this big picture, like not doing a playlisting campaign, or not investing on ads, or not investing on producing content on social media because you think you're not going to get your investment directly in. It's the same with ads. Like if you say, I'm going to spend, I don't know, like $300, you're not going to get that in royalties directly back. But if you look at the big picture, this like building up this kind of organic fan base from out of nowhere, because everybody starts nowhere at first, most people, it's what's going to help you unlock the opportunities that going to make what can be a career then. So it's more like looking at the big picture then. Is, are you ready to lose money in the start? It's the same with every marketing thing. Like with Groover, we're investing in ads. We like for a long time, we're not getting our investment back.
Yeah.
And in many occasions, we're not getting our investment back, but we're seeing that maybe in 1 year or 2 years, we'll get it back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I mean, I think I think it's exactly like ads, right? Because if you do a 1-to-1 comparison of, if I spend $1 on ads, am I going to make $1 back in streaming royalties? The answer is absolutely not. Like it's just,
otherwise you would just feed it infinitely and you would never stop.
If it was a guaranteed strategy like that, there would be a no-brainer. Every artist should
infinite money glitch.
Exactly, right? Yeah. So I just wanted us to unpack that, like the money exchange, right? Because like to your point, you've had successful artists. What's like your favorite case study, or like, you know what I mean? Use case of an artist who's used your platform successfully, like the right way, right? That I think our artist community could benefit from.
Oh, I have one example coming to mind. And it's not because she only used Groover, it's also because she used Groover as part of like a more global strategy.
Which is how you should use it, right?
Totally, entirely. Like it's not sufficient. In some occasions, it can be one of the key things if like it really resonates on that and you're like not a big social media person, but you still want to like, it can be something. But here, like it was interesting because she didn't have a big presence on social media, and she decided to release like one track a month, some her own productions, some would be collabs, some would be remixes, but she's like, for a year, I'm going to release like one thing, like one track, one project per month, which is crazy, insane. But at the same time, she was like, I'm gonna do it this way. And for every track, she was promoting them to on Groover and getting playlist placements. She was also submitting to like opportunities. That's how we discovered her, and we had her play on one of the shows we organized. Then she was promoting the tracks to also like radio stations. She was also doing some TikTok videos that like maybe 50 or 100 people were watching first, but she was doing some covers on social media and trying to be active with this. And for the 2 or 3 first releases, it was not impressive. She got a few placements in playlists, and social media was starting to like, there was something happening, but very, very low. And then when we started to grow through like playlisting and social media combined, it helped her go over like certain thresholds, and she ended up with some collabs and everything grow to, I think she went to like 200 or 300,000 monthly listeners from nothing in the course of a year, just doing what she wanted and releasing these tracks. And partly through the playlist placement she was getting through through Groover, and then she got spotted by the Spotify team, and she got some editorial placement. She got into like the Equal. I don't know if you know like the Equal playlist. So she got into that in France and everything, and she started to grow this way. And she keeps on using Groover for every campaign because all the time it's bringing her like somebody new that's gonna appreciate her music. And what you were saying about ads is interesting. It's like you're not gonna get it back in streams right now, but if as part of the people that are gonna save your track and listen to it, some of them are gonna really follow what you do and are gonna come to your shows and everything. The lifetime value you might get from these people can cover in the end what you've spent in ads.
Right.
It's the same like with what I was making the comparison with Groover is like when we do running some ads, we're doing a lot of like Google search ads. Like when people are looking for promotion and everything, we're trying to be present there. And so we're paying for that. We're not making back the investment when they pay the first time. Like they cost us more to acquire than their first campaign payment. But if they come back, then it starts to be a break-even thing. Yeah. And we have we need to have artists coming back and good retention. And that's one of the things that's interesting about like what you were saying about expectations and some artists being like pissed. What we're seeing is that even artists that are pissed are coming back and using it again.
They're like, fuck it, let me try it again. Maybe I did something wrong.
I hope you guys are enjoying the conversation. I want to take a quick moment to tell you about our pals at DistroKid. You can't get your music onto streaming platforms without a distributor, and DistroKid is an excellent choice to handle that for you. For the ridiculously low price of $23, you can upload unlimited music for an entire year. That is less than $2 a month. I tripped on $2 walking down the street earlier. They have countless features to help you out on your musical journey. One of my favorites is splits. Instead of my collaborators hitting me up all the time saying, "Where's my money?" I can input everyone's percentage when I upload the music, and DistroKid will handle it. I've personally used DistroKid for many years and can genuinely recommend them as a great tool to get your music out into the world. And if you sign up at omtdistro.com, you'll get 30% off an already insanely low price. This is absolute peanuts for unlimited uploads yearly. We wish you the best with your creating. Let's get back to it.
How early should an artist start running a playlisting campaign?
If I was to like produce a first track and I want to release it, I would run a playlisting campaign. I think one of the cool things with playlisting is that you'll send your track. If the playlist creator likes your music, they will feature it, which is very different from what happens with like media outlets and possibly radio stations sometimes, or even like social media featuring you or not. Social media like influencer featuring you or not, is that if your track is good or has hit like the right target, and you have like a good image around what you're doing, it's likely going to get playlisted, even if you have zero listener, which is a cool thing. So to me, like playlisting is a good thing because it can be something you do from the start. Like it's your first release. I would actually advise you to run a playlisting campaign to gain your first like listeners on top of the people you know. Because if it's your first release, mainly the people who know about your music are your friends and your family. Nobody has heard about your music yet. So to build this up, it's gonna take some time. And playlisting is a way to grow that in some way. Ads could be great, but I wouldn't start with ads at first. But then when you get to understand better your audience and everything, you can. And if you become a geek of that, or you look at the right sources, you can definitely like try to run ads if you have budget. But playlisting is also sometimes more affordable so it's like ads in the long run can bring you really like a lot of traction and everything, but it needs a minimum investment that's higher than what you can do and try out when you do playlisting. For example, on Groover, we saw like the minimum is like $10. I don't advise you to spend $10 because if you get like 5 replies, or maybe one doesn't answer, 2 say it's not exactly the editorial line, 1 says a good piece of feedback, and 1 shares, you're gonna be like, okay, it's cool, I got 1 share for $10. I don't exactly see and 1 good piece of feedback. But if you start sending it to like 30 or 50 curators and get 30 or 50 replies, which like 6, 7 or like 8 or maybe more shares and a lot of like good quality feedback and a part of like more standardized replies, then it's not what they're looking for. You're gonna get, okay, I see the impact it can have, because compared to like sending emails to people and having 0 replies, having like 30 to 50 replies from people who are actually qualified and everything and could be interesting for your your music makes sense. So honestly, you could start with your first release.
Okay,
You
wow.
could really start with your first release.
Do people, do artists get any type of data about the people listening to their songs when they do get on playlists? Is any of that, can you learn anything about the listeners or kind of figure out?
Through Spotify for artists. Then like there's no like it's so the data around playlist is not completely open. It's open only to like when you're an artist and you're featured on the playlist, you can see how many streams it generates. But you don't have a lot of information about your demographics for these playlist inclusions. You have information about the demographics of your audience more generally speaking.
So maybe if you looked at your demographics before the playlist campaign and then compared it with your demographics after, could kind of get an idea potentially.
Hey,
You know?
that's fucking
Kinda
big,
smart.
big brain over here.
Yeah, making some screenshots before and after is
Yeah.
really good way to see how it impacted your audience. And it's interesting because also playlists, a lot of the playlist creators we have on Groover, they have like a real global and audience, so they could have like people listening to their playlists in many different countries. Some of them are much more localized, and it's interesting to see that you can get on a big playlist and you'll see a lot of audience coming from that playlist in a specific region. And also with some types of music, it's going to resonate a lot with audiences in specific countries and not in other countries. It's not something you might know in advance, but by these trials and errors, you can find that like your music is going to work super well in a specific place. I know that like there are like some French artists that have their biggest audience in Mexico City. It's like, but some of them singing in English or French. Maybe you know Phoenix, the band. It's they played at the like closing ceremony of the Olympics.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're from France. They sing in English, and I think like they have their biggest city in the world listening to their music is Mexico City. Wow. And there's another band that's singing in French called L'Impératrice, and their biggest city is also Mexico City, and all the lyrics are in French, so it's crazy. But so you can't know in advance, but sometimes you'll find interesting things through these campaigns and people actually listening to music and connecting to it.
So what's like one mistake that an artist can make that would just kill their chances of playlist ads?
I would say never pay for a service that guarantees you streams and placements. What I said in the beginning, never do it. There's a lot of packages on Fiverr. There's a lot of websites that are offering like you a boost. Every time you see something that is like organic listeners guaranteed, like flee, don't pay for it. And like, it's the worst thing that can happen there. And honestly, I would recommend like never using those services, like never. This is one of the big mistakes you can make.
What about on Groover? Like, is there language that they could use that's just not professional, or are they not describing their tracks well? Or
I would say like it's not really a mistake, but it's a missed opportunity when you don't fill out your profile entirely. It's very easy and fast to do it. When you put your bio, you put your picture, you put your social media links, also your campaign pitch when you're like doing something, writing something that is like short and easy, but like showing what your music is about, it can really like offer some opportunities that you wouldn't get otherwise. So it's more a missed opportunity not doing it. One thing that is super important though, like I'm thinking of something, is selecting too many genres of music. So if on your profile you're selecting too many things, so I had like an artist telling me, hey, I have like 15 seconds, like I have saxophone in my track, so I put jazz. And I was like, this is a psychedelic rock track, and there's like 15 seconds of like saxophone in the middle, which is nice, but it's not jazz. And the creators who are looking for jazz are not looking for that track. So you're like missing, like you're not going to target the right people this way. So I would really focus on selecting 2 or max 3 subgenres with like on your profile before a campaign. And then when you're doing your selection and filtering, I would only select like 2 or 3 subgenres maximum. So that way you'll get the best recommendations there. You're going to get the people that really like your music. And it's also not about like putting yourself in a box or anything. It's more about when you talk to people, what do they say your music is? It doesn't mean you need to agree with that. It's more about like, what would an external person listening to music would think your music is more about or closest to. And a lot of music is hybrid today, but I would like, even if it's hybrid, I would like keep like 2 or 3 subgenres that could be very different, and you'll find the intersection between those among the creators that like both.
Yeah. So the feedback, of course, that you get from these curators varies, right? Mm-hmm. Some of it can be very helpful. Some of it, maybe not so much. And I know that y'all are doing work to kind of quality control some of that stuff and make sure that they are giving the best possible feedback so that we can, improve the whole experience. But what would you say the most common type of feedback it is that curators are giving to emerging artists, right?
I have a guess. Well, what I see a lot is just, it sounds good, but it doesn't fit on this playlist.
This is what I'm gonna say. It's like, and more largely, if we go not only on playlisting, but if we go back to also like all the media outlets and radio stations and people that are on Groover, they're also like YouTube channel journalists. We created a DJ category so people can submit to DJs as well. Oh, cool! Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've just started it, but it's working really well. Yeah, The idea is, most of the time it's going to be, but it's natural. It's like they listen to it and it's like, oh, it's high quality. I can see the appeal and everything, but it doesn't match what I'm looking for right now in my creation. It could be sometimes even music they like to listen to, but it's not exactly what it doesn't match. And so this is going to be, the most common piece of feedback that artists would receive when there's a rejection. It would be about that. Then I'd say like what we try to have creators do is pinpoint one specific thing, or like not a negative thing about the track itself, but more like, as a creator, I'm more looking for tracks that have, more breaks, or like that have a more underground production. And this is sounding a bit too commercial for me. But having something like this is a good piece of feedback, because it's like, for the artist, it's like, okay, so my track is perceived as more commercial. I should go and check creators that are looking for that kind of music. Mm-hmm. And the creators who are able to express that the right way, with benevolence and everything, I've never their artists really like getting this kind of like honest feedback on why they're not getting featured. And it's one of the things that we worked a lot on in the beginning. It was the creators were like, a lot of creators are actually too nice. We call that case too enthusiastic, but no. It's like they're like, they write like a super nice feedback about the track, but then they don't share it. And like the artist is like, why? I don't understand. It's like, it's because the creators sometimes that feel really bad about criticizing. They understand what's happening on the other side, but what they're doing is even worse, which is like saying the music is amazing and not sharing it. So we try to
I hated that.
Yeah.
I hated when we got those. We were like, this makes no sense.
I could totally see the appeal of this. I love the bridge in the middle. The instrumentation is great. Like, I love the vocal tone of the artist and how it's switched up, and the flows and the melodies are all very good. Not going to work for this playlist.
But it's a no for me, dog. It's a no for me.
Yeah, it's like, no, and sometimes it's like, so we try to really educate the creators to understand, like to put themselves in the shoes of artists and be like, what would be something valuable for you? And the two ways you can be valuable is if you have like a real like detailed piece of feedback about something, like, there's the track and you're like, I really like the track, but I think like this break of like was far too long, so it lost me, like it lost my attention. Mm-hmm. This is a good piece of feedback because it's like, it's very personal, and it's what we say to creators, like, don't try to be objective. It's like, it's more about like what you're feeling about the track, and likely what you don't like, somebody else is gonna like it. So it's not about finding objectivity, because sometimes you were saying about expectations, with some artists are telling us, I expect objective feedback. It's like, it doesn't exist. It's music. It's like it's music taste. It doesn't exist, and objective feedback doesn't exist. Someone can tell you on the production part, this is gonna be better produced than this, but on the other side, some artists that are gonna do some very lo-fi thing in their room, they're gonna have a huge success, even if the production is not perfect. So it's really about the emotion, what we're trying to bring here. And so we're telling the creators, be subjective and try to explain why it didn't work for you. And if you have some advice on a technical point of view, always say it on a you basis, in the sense of like, I think it could have been more interesting if you would have done that, but it's more about like, this is bad, you should have done that. It's more about like, if I were you, or if I was working on this track, I would recommend maybe doing that. If I was, it's more about this thing of like trying to put them in the sense of like, you're giving an opinion, it's going to be subjective, but try to be meaning, like try to have impact with that, and yeah, and positively for the artist and create something positive.
What's the process of becoming a curator on Groover?
You can apply. We are rejecting 90 to 95% of the applications. We also have a team of ambassadors that are locally in like Brazil, Italy, Spain, also some of them that are specialized on playlists and everything, and they are reaching out to some great creators that they're finding to invite them to the platform.
Inbound and outbound.
Exactly. And it will be 50-50. So it's interesting because we see that like from the ones we're reaching out to, we end up accepting 80% because we like pre-qualify them.
Handpicked.
Yeah, handpicked. And on the other side, it's the opposite. Like when like people are inbound, we're rejecting 90 to 95% of like the applications that are coming in. But there are also some very good ones that are coming in, also because they were recommended by someone or they saw us on an event or anything. But it's really important we keep that outbound part because it's really what's bringing the variety and how rich the community is in terms of the quality brands that wouldn't have signed up if they hadn't met with us and understood the purpose.
Yeah. So other than playlisting, you know, you kind of alluded to this at the beginning, like what else do you see artists looking for? Right? Like just generally speaking, what in your mind should an artist care about? Right? Because I think, of course, getting on playlists and getting streams is like one part of the whole big equation. So like, what are some of the other, you know, things they should be caring about? Yeah,
that's a good thing. I don't think they should care about something, but in reality, they care about things. Mm-hmm. And I see like four main things that they would be caring about. And three are direct ways you can be three direct things you can target on Groover. And the fourth one is more like an underlying one. So the first one is visibility. So getting fans, getting a bigger audience, getting more listeners, getting more streams is one of the biggest reasons why artists are using Groover. But as we said, it's like it can create a lot of expectations. Yep. And it's a good thing and it's important. And there are many ways to grow this, and it's a big part. I think like another thing that a lot of artists on Groover are looking for is connections. So a lot of them are feeling like completely alone, producing on their own. They don't have feedback from people outside their inner circle, and they want to connect with people with possibly a collaboration at stake. With the idea of reaching out to a record label, to a publisher, to a manager. We got more than 1,000 of these relationships that were built on Groover since the beginning, that were established there, and so they're looking to be signed, to have this kind of like connection with someone that is going to help them in their career, in their process, and building up. So a lot of them are looking for that, for those connections that they don't know how to reach out to. They don't answer to their emails. They were like, at least they're going to listen to my music this way, and it might build a connection. So this is the second thing. The third thing is some artists, not all of them, like a lot of artists don't want feedback, but a portion of the artists actually really want feedback on their music, like actual concrete feedback on what it triggers in terms of emotions or even the production. So you can reach out to also sound specialists, studio engineers, you can reach out to coaches and mentors. You can filter out like these types. And these are the big three categories of people you can reach out to. People who can bring visibility, people you can connect with for collaboration, for a label, signing on label or anything. And the third one is more like people who are going to give you like detailed advice on your production or your track or your demo or your strategy and everything. So these are the three big ones. And then the big underlying one that a lot of artists are looking for is a lot of them have the imposter syndrome, and they want to have the kind of the approval of somebody they don't know on the other side of the world that's going to like them. For example, we have all the chief editors from Rolling Stone in South America on Groover, in Argentina and everything. And they are featuring every week new tracks that they discover on Groover. They really love it. And one of the things here is that it's like when an artist gets featured on Rolling Stone Argentina for whatever reason, maybe not a lot of people are going to read it. But for them, the fact that for them first, they were featured on Rolling Stone Argentina. It's like, okay, I'm not doing this for nothing. There are people who are really appreciating my music, and at the same time, the artists can communicate on that. They can communicate that were featured on Rolling Stone. So it's really powerful in the sense that it can bring new people to listen to music because they see this kind of like label check of like Rolling Stone featured your music. So this kind of like legitimacy, this quest for like legitimacy and feeling that your music makes sense and that your project is recognized, recognition is really important and an underlying thing that is really important when artists are reaching out to people on Groover. And that's why like sometimes it's what I say, like artists, like you're not forced at all to try Groover. It may not work for you, but maybe you'll get in touch with 50 people and maybe there's one person that's going to love your music and he's going to become possibly the most important person for your career.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, that goes
it's
with
like one contact.
Yeah. That goes with like anything really in this business, man. I mean, and just in life in general, is like, you really don't know what one interaction can do for, like, I mean, there's been people that we've gotten on the podcast who like have now been instrumental in like helping us navigate the industry and like make connections for us. And like, who would have ever known like that connection would have turned into something way, way bigger. Right. So I do think, but it's something, we used to do more of these. We're trying to get back into it. We do like live stream, music feedback. So our community, just like yours, they do love that. They do love.
They ask for.
They want the feedback.
Yeah,
like it's a huge thing, and it's so interesting, like psychologically, because I feel like it's the same artists though that do claim that like, I don't care what anyone thinks about my music or whatever, right? Are the same people that.
What do you think about my music?
Yeah, exactly. It's a very interesting, like, I don't know, like a weird dichotomy between that,
I mean, like, Dorian said emotional earlier. It's all very
that's
emotional.
That's a perfect way to say it, man. This whole industry, like when you're talking about art being the product, right? Like, and it's your personal, like words and like your personal, like, music that you're making or whatever. I mean, it gets real deep as far as like the personal like attachment and connection to it. You know what I mean? So it's tough for me. I like have to walk on eggshells sometimes. I feel like with my artist friends, cause like I'm a very like straight shooter and sometimes that's good. I think they do need to hear some of the things that like I say or other people that are a little bit more like,
it's better than a yes man,
Yeah. Yeah. But there is like a delicate way to do it. You know what I mean? Without crushing their hopes and dreams, you know what I mean?
Totally. And that's what being very attentive on, like that creators, like they realize that they have like what they say is going to have some impact. And it's what I was saying sometimes, like even the artist who's going to get like possibly the one who wrote the truth about Groover, I suspect, and it's what's getting on he probably got like one very bad piece of feedback that really like made him like that he really didn't like, and it like turned his whole experience on something, and he had to like out his frustrations. And I honestly, I'd never blame artists for like being in that situation. I understand, because it's so like tough and can be so emotional as sometimes to get this kind of situation. But I would like, what I've tried to do all the time when I talk with that, and I used to do like support. I've just stopped after 6 years, but I was still doing the support for Groover on the weekends and the nights and everything. I just stopped, but I keep on like helping when there are like some difficult situations. And sometimes like the artists, they were so frustrated, and I was just like talking to them. I was like, when you get something and you like it doesn't resonate with you, you don't agree, and it's bad. Like, try to like take a deep breath and forget about it and go to the positive thing or the things that resonate with you, that you think you have, that are going to bring you something. It's going to be so important for you. And I know it's possibly not you want to hear, but like when you have something negative like this, that you feel it's bringing you nothing but bad, like just go to the next thing and forget about it. You're never going to grow if you focus only on the things that are like, you think are really like making you suffer in ways. And I think it's true for a lot of things, even with like, if you're like, further on in the industry, I think like a lot of artists that are succeeding and maintaining like a classic, like a standard of life that is like okay, they're not like falling down the cracks or anything. It's because they're able to like, okay, this is negative shit. I don't want to focus too much on. And it happens. You're gonna get this on Groover, and I would love for it never to happen, but it's not avoidable all the time because it's human beings answering. So it's like we don't control them.
Damn humans.
I feel like Dorian's a psychologist in another life. He could be a psychologist.
I know.
For artists as well.
Yeah. Dorian, we've entered a final segment of the podcast.
Ooh, my favorite segment. Which, by the way,
this is our first global rapid fire rampage. By the way,
this is our first one.
Big global shit.
I was gonna say we gotta figure out how to get that Reddit post lower on the Google search results. I found that way too easily. I feel like how do we?
Yeah,
this is a sore subject, bro.
He already knows.
He literally loses sleep every night over the truth about Groover.
He takes a deep breath and then he moves on to the positive. Didn't you hear him?
I don't know, man.
Yeah, it took some time. It took like a very deep breath, like
very deep.
Hey, I was taking some deep breaths earlier, so I get it, my friend.
For sure. This is the rapid fire rampage, Dorian. There's going to be 3 short parts to it. We're going to start with just some short answer questions. Let's get into it. Starting with, just give us your best quick elevator pitch on why artists should be using Groover. What's the 30-second this is why?
So Groover, we built it because we wanted to help artists ensure that their track is listened to and that they can break this wall of the first listening for people they can target. Our goal is that they have the freedom to get in touch with the people they choose, and we guarantee them that their track is going to get listened to, they're going to get feedback, and this way they maximize the opportunities they can get out of it. This is why we built it.
Great.
Boom.
It's great.
Real founder shit, Henry.
Knew it would be good.
Now give me the elevator pitch for the One More Time podcast.
Moving on to the next one for Dorian.
We're still working on Henry's elevator pitch. It's okay.
Oh, you have one?
Well, yeah, but
okay.
This is my interview, Henry.
Anyway, what is the biggest challenge Groover is facing right now, and how do you plan to solve it?
I think we talked a lot about it. I think it's the quality of the feedback and the quality of the shares and matching the expectations of artists the right way and anticipating what we can really bring to them and bring this value and more value for these campaigns, and like managing to have the best community of creators and for them to bring the best value to artists. It's always going to be the big challenge. And it's one of the biggest ones we're working on right now, and we always be working on.
Yeah. That's a never-ending thing. Yeah. I'm sure. Like that's not going to be over anytime soon.
Yeah. But it's getting better, and it's going to change. It's going to get better, and it's going to
baby steps, my friend.
Yeah.
Dorian, you can choose any animal to be your personal assistant. What animal do you choose and why?
Wow. Oh, that's a good question.
You've never thought about this. Yeah.
No,
I mean, if you have, that's weird, but
no,
I
I'm
can tell
thinking.
you.
So I have an idea. I would definitely get an octopus. Because I think like they
multitasking,
8 legs.
Yeah, multitasking a lot, and like a very cute octopus, like with a big smile, and that's doing a lot of things there and there.
Hey,
but
man.
I'm quite organized, but I'm okay with chaos in the sense that I'm working on very different things at the same time and multitasking while trying to be organized at the same time. So I think like having other hands or other it would be helpful.
Yeah.
Okay.
You need your assistant to match that energy of multitasking. Right. Eight tasks at once.
Dorian,
that's a good question.
Are CDJs actually the best decks?
Oh yeah.
So that's confirmed. Guaranteed.
Yeah, that's confirmed.
Okay.
Yeah, and there are the new ones by Pioneer. They did like the kind of Apple revolution when they removed all the buttons and they put it on a nice design, like the Opus Quad. So I'm gonna say before was always better. I don't know how to say that. It's just like the CDJs. I really like the feel of them. Like the Opus Quad, I'm a bit lost, but I'm pretty sure like in a year or 2 years, I'm gonna be Opus Quad is the best. Or something like this,
we'll ask you again in 1 year.
Yeah, I like CDJs are great. CDJs are great.
I like it. Dorian, you have entered a fight to the death cage match with the founder of Submit Hub.
I know Jason.
You know him?
I've met with him for the first time this year in South by in Austin.
What did y'all talk about?
Fun. A lot of things and nothing at the same time. It was like
But the
It was
question,
fun. Like, we got a breakfast together, but it was really fun.
nice. Well,
Yeah.
The question still stands.
the question is
Yeah.
going to be, what is your weapon of choice against Jason?
in a death in a match.
God.
What is it?
And fight to the death cage match.
Fight-
No firearms.
Yeah. Yep.
No
So
firearms.
I think
allowed.
I think Jason is a very smart person.
Mm-hmm.
And what is the goal? Like, what do I need to win? Like, do I need to kill him? Or
Yes.
Do I need to,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
okay.
It's that.
Or you die. I mean, if you know. So.
If you want to live, you have to kill him.
Yes.
That's the whole.
I think I would kill him with kindness.
Oh, come on, bro.
No, but the truth about that is that no, it's what they're building is really cool and a source of inspiration. We're really trying to bring additional things to artists there, and we're differentiating on a lot of things. But we really respect what they're doing with Summit Hub. We can coexist.
Plenty of room for both,
You could play nice in the sandbox.
I suppose.
Yeah.
That was such a answer, though, bro.
I know. Let us down.
The last one we asked literally said a
razor.
a razor blade.
Yeah.
Blade.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Audio Mac was gonna, it was
Against Daniel
It was Z from Audio Mac was fighting Daniel Eck from Spotify
Yeah,
to
yeah.
the death.
I'm just
Razor
pitting
blade.
founders against each other. That's my new thing.
Yeah,
It's really fun. It's really nice.
I
Yeah,
guess.
for sure. Dorian,
And maybe, I know he's in South Africa, so maybe I'll probably try to have some lions come at his place or something.
okay. See, now
See,
that should have
now-
been your first answer.
Yeah, fuck the kindness thing. That
Yeah.
was the lion.
Lion
though.
attack.
Lion attack is
I choose
is hard.
a lion
Yeah.
as my weapon. That's fire.
Yeah, a hungry lion.
Got to be hungry.
Yeah,
Can't be satiated.
no.
Dorian, what is your best, just quick tip, off the top piece of advice for someone who wants to start a music tech company?
Oh yeah, easy. I would be like, if you have an idea, it's great. Then start by calling hundreds of artists or people you want to address. If you want to address artists, talk with artists. Have open questions, like 6 to 8 open questions you're asking about their daily life and what they're struggling with, and try to find a migraine problem, which is really something they're really struggling with. They would be ready to pay to solve it, and it's exactly what we did. We had a different idea. We talked with hundreds of artists, and it all came to the visibility, getting heard, the migraine of just being listened to by their mother and their dog. And it was how could they go over that? And it was okay, we've just put the finger on something. And we talked with PR agents, and we saw that it was a solution only for artists that were well developed and not other ones. So we saw that there was really something that was not addressed there. So I would talk to artists, talk to people, and I would say, don't talk too much to other music tech founders. Just talk to your audience, talk to the people you want to address.
I like that. Yeah. Make sure there's a real problem that you're solving for. I think that's
exactly.
super key. Love that. Last one of the short answer. What is your favorite curse word?
Oh my God, I don't know. I mean,
In English or in French?
Could be French.
yeah,
It could be French. Well, this is an open question.
Oh, in French, maybe you've heard putain in French.
I have heard that. Yeah. What does it mean though?
It means whore.
Okay,
But when we say it, we don't think about it. We think about putain. It's I don't know.
Putain.
Maybe it's fuck when in English. I think
Yeah, it's
I don't
like,
know if
ah,
you're always
whore.
thinking
Whore.
Yeah, it's
Whore.
yeah.
It's
No, but
whore.
Putain.
Yeah.
it's putain is a good one.
Putain?
I like it.
Putain?
Putain.
Putain?
Yes.
Putain?
Yeah. Putain.
Putain. Putain.
Yes.
Okay,
Very good.
something like that.
We learned one today.
Yeah.
Part 2 is the this or that. Dorian, I'm gonna give you 2 choices. You just got to pick one.
Okay.
Starting with drums or melodies,
Melodies.
algorithmic playlist or editorial playlist.
Algorithmic. No, editorial playlist.
Okay. Vinyl or streaming,
Streaming.
morning music or night music,
Night music.
synced transition or freehand.
Oh, freehand.
He's a
When you
freehander.
sync. No, it's
He doesn't
so
sync.
Dude, he got so
He doesn't
happy.
touch that button. It's
No, it's
sync
like
button.
I respect people who are using it, but also when it's like very complex, like tracks and rhythms and stuff like that. But it's bringing all the fun out for me. Like I prefer to play with like the beat match than doing too many effects. So if I'm just doing sync, I'm just gonna be like, what can I do? It's like the beat matching is part of the fun for me.
Cool. I like it. Bootstrapping or investor backed?
I hope our investors are not going to watch that video. No, I would say, honestly, I would say now in the current economy, if I was to create a new company, I would say bootstrapped.
I like it.
I would bootstrap it. Yeah.
But investors, he loves you.
But investors, no, honestly, no. And to give like, to put a word with that, like, without the investors, we wouldn't have gone that fast and we wouldn't have gone like that quality of a platform. We wouldn't have been able to build that team. Honestly, we a lot of what we build is due to the amazing investors that we have. But the now in the current economy, it would be sounder to build bootstrapping. Also because now I have a better network, better understanding of everything. But also like, the investors, they trusted us and they helped us grow. So it's like, I would go back. It's like, I chose bootstrap, but it would be like, it's totally different depending on what you're building.
For sure.
If you do some hardware or something, it's going to be hard to bootstrap, honestly.
For sure.
Yeah.
Okay, only a couple more. Discovery or familiarity?
Discovery.
And finally, quit DJing or sell Groover for an appropriate amount.
Quit DJing or sell Groover for an appropriate amount. For an appropriate amount.
Appropriate amount, like market value.
Market value is not the music. It's hard. It's hard, man. Like,
It's meant to be.
It's hard because I've just started DJing a year ago, and
Give
I
it
love
up, bro.
It's like a new passion and everything. I can't give
You're
up
quitting,
like a new
bro.
passion. Oh my
Yes,
God.
you can. You're not selling for fair
You could always
market value,
bootstrap
bro.
a new company, you know?
No, I'll find a new passion.
Yeah.
I'll become a music producer. I quit DJing, but I produce music.
That's.
He's sticking with Groover, baby.
Are we allowing that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, producing allowed.
Stick with
Producing
Groover.
allowed.
Okay.
The last section is the word association. I'm going to say one word, and you just give me the first word that you think of off the top of your head, as little thought as possible. Here we go. Starting with music.
Everything.
Snapchat.
Yellow.
USB.
Record box.
Potato.
Chips with cheese.
Ooh.
Okay.
Gen Z.
Hard to understand.
No, Dorian, that's you and your French accent, my friend.
I'm too old now. That's why. I was like,
Don't come on here. I know your age.
You are a very young.
I know your age with a quick Google.
We figured it out. You were
Yeah.
very young.
Yeah.
The Louvre.
what did you say? The Louvre.
The Louvre.
Did he say it right?
I would say Delacroix. I don't know if you know. It's like one of the best painting there is like
Delacroix.
the freedom guiding the people.
Oh, cool.
And it's from Delacroix.
Delacroix.
It's beautiful painting.
Delacroix. Putain.
Podcast.
Entertaining.
Playlist push.
Expensive.
Oh,
It is.
It's like a-
I can attest.
Bitcoin.
I lost the key to my wallet, so I'm pissed.
Oh shit. See, bro. See, that's why I'm using the apps, bro.
But
Not your key, not your coins.
Yeah.
mean,
yeah.
at
No,
least-
honestly, it's like, I don't care too much about it. It's like I don't understand the use.
After losing your keys, yeah.
That's a nice thing. That's a nice thing to
It's
say.
because I'm still pissed about it.
Yeah,
Yeah, for sure,
I mean,
for
I don't even understand that Bitcoin shit. Like, whatever. I lost a whole one, 75K right now. But
yeah. Okay, only a few more here. SpongeBob.
Patrick,
Lil.
Wayne,
Groover.
life.
Let's go.
Groover is
Groover is life, baby. That might be the name of the episode.
As
Let's
always,
go.
please like, comment, and subscribe. Follow us on Apple Podcasts. Follow us on Spotify Podcasts. Leave us a 5-star review. If you don't leave us 5 stars, just move right along. Until next time, Henry, what are we doing?
Getting out of here.
Getting out of here. Peace, y'all.